gente, aqui estamos com a segunda parte do vídeo sobre as perguntas do Twitter. Então, a Beck tá aqui, de novo, e ela vai continuar respondendo todas as perguntas de vocês. Se vocês tiverem alguma dúvida, deixem nos comentários. E aí eu respondo tudo no final, em um outro vídeo talvez, ou eu só respondo nos comentários mesmo. Então, vamos lá! Is it important the person actually communicates in English, or just writing and reading would be enough or not?
Yeah, so English speaking is fundamental. You need to be able to have an interview in English, not just a kind of get to know you interview, but also technical interviews as well. So being able to speak English is really important for any company that's going to be interviewing you. Maybe not so much kind of writing, but sometimes they're interested in writing, but in general, English communication through speaking is really, really vital if you're going to want to work in Europe.
Okay, that's important. And regarding proficiency tests and stuff, is it mandatory? Do they ask for any Cambridge test, advanced or fluency levels?
Yeah, no, I've not worked with any company that's required to have some sort of certificate or anything like that to prove that you can speak English. That generally comes across in interviews. So you don't need any sort of proficiency tests in advance, and Sweden don't require you to do a proficiency test when you're coming and getting a visa. Other countries will, like the UK, require you to do an English proficiency test before they'll give you a visa. But Sweden are a bit more relaxed about that. As long as the employer is happy that you can speak English, it's fine.
Mm-hmm. So how is the process usually when you have family and kids? Should you tell about them in the very beginning? So should you just like not say anything, wait for the recruiter to ask?
I mean, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference for a company. I mean, obviously, if you've got kind of 5 kids and a partner, then you know it's going to cost. If the company is offering to pay for flights and stuff, it's going to cost them a lot more money. Again, if they want you, that's not going to be a problem for them. But you just got to kind of think about it. But yeah, you know, ask these questions in advance about kind of, you know, not in the first interview. I would not recommend that in the first interview. But
I did that in the first interview.
Yeah,
sorry.
But it just, yeah, I mean, generally kind of, you know, asking about these things, maybe just to kind of, especially if it's a recruiter, you can kind of mention it and say, hey, how do I do this? But in general, getting family over here is just, there's a few more bits of paperwork you need, but in general, it's going to be the same process for everyone. Just filling out a lot of forms, and a lot of paperwork. Like just the birth certificates and marriage certificates and proof of living together if you're not married and things like that. So there's a bit more paperwork, but in general, it's not a problem. And then when you get here, you register, and then your child can get into school and things like that. So it's not that difficult. It's just, maybe do mention it to the recruiter and the company just to check that they're okay. If they're offering things like paying for flights and stuff like that, if you're doing it yourself, then obviously it doesn't matter. But
you're gonna pay for it,
matter.
So whatever.
So yeah, from my perspective, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference if you've got a family as well. I mean, I don't know a lot about the immigration process to a lot of different countries because I've only specifically worked with Sweden. I mean, I know a little bit about the UK, but that's about it really. And everyone has their different processes, but the things that you'll need are kind of obviously valid passport, the amount of time. No, you laugh. The amount of time I got people through the process, and then they go, "Oh, I don't have a valid passport," and it's it's going to take me X amount of time to get it, and I'm just like, "Oh my god!" So yeah, you're going to need a valid passport. So make sure you and your family have a valid passport. I'm not sure how long you need it to have, but at least 6 months. So yeah, you need a valid passport.
Okay.
So start thinking about that now. It's useful. And then, the paperwork you'll need. For you don't need a huge amount of stuff. I mean, for Sweden, you'll need your passport, a CV, and that's about it, I think. But if it's for your family, you're going to need marriage certificates or some sort of proof that you've lived together if you're not married. So for Sweden, you don't have to be married to come as a partner of that person. So, but as long as you've got proof that you have lived together for a long time, or you've been in a relationship for a long
period.
So and usually that's kind of shared bills and tenancy agreements in apartments and things like that. So It's not too difficult, but these things need to be translated as well. But yeah, marriage certificate needs to be translated as well. And then you need to kind of have, if you've got children, you're going to need birth certificates and things like that as well for them to be translated.
So maybe you should make sure that you have all this documentation ready before you even start the process.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling is just have the stuff ready. I mean, it's obviously going to cost you a little bit of money to get things translated. So I always say to people, don't do that.
The translations, but get the documents ready.
Yeah, get the documents ready in advance and make sure you have them. And that's good. And if not ordered, get your passport.
Get your passport! Gente, tenha o passaporte atualizado, tá bom? Vou falar em português, com certeza vocês entenderam.
Exactly what she said. But yeah, don't get anything translated and stuff until you've got the job, because there's no point. But yeah, and if you're coming with pets, that's a whole other ball thing. So
yes,
you know about this
I
as
know
well.
about that.
So you need a lot of paperwork for your
yeah,
pets
I guess
as well.
dogs can be more difficult than children.
They can, because dogs need vaccinations and things, so children don't.
Even cats are easier, right?
No, cats are just as stressful from my perspective. Yeah, so yeah, it's hard work with pets. It can be done, and it will be done. It's fine, but it's going to take a long. Yeah, it's going to push off. If you're going to want to bring your pet at the same time, it's going to take longer the process to move because they do require vaccinations and quarantine periods and things like that. So yeah, just think about that when you're thinking of buying a new pooch for Christmas. Yeah, so that's basically the process. But then there's obviously going to be forms you need to fill in and things like that, but that will be given to you once you get the job. They'll start the process and you need to fill out some forms with some information.
But those forms, they usually just ask general questions about you, like
exactly.
where have you been working before, living out of your country before, It's more just pretty much putting our CV inside a formula. That is no point. But in Europe, is it mandatory or not to have a diploma?
It depends on which country you are applying to. So some countries do require it, like Germany, but somewhere like Sweden doesn't require it. It's not necessary to have a diploma. You just need to show that you can do the job. So yeah, depending on where you want to apply to, it's whether or not you need the diploma or not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, make a decision on whether or not you want to pay the money to get for MBA. Or not. But
I should have done this before. Sometimes it's good to ask before.
Yeah.
As I asked you if I need a diploma to come to Sweden, because the point is you need not only the diploma, but you need your diploma to be valid and accepted by the country, so you'll be able to get your visa. And this can be tricky because sometimes the recruiter, they will tell you like, no, it's fine, so you have a degree, it's fine. And then you get the job, you sign up for everything, and when you apply for the visa, you are rejected because your diploma is not valid or your school is not valid for the country. So it's good to check everything. Again,
recruiters often just take what's on your LinkedIn profile or whatever, and if it says you've got a degree, or if you did kind of 4 years or something, they'll just assume that you have a degree in a kind of a university that's valid, and that's just an assumption they make. So it's really up to you to kind of check, because you may not finish that degree, or you may have put it on your LinkedIn profile or CV, but you may not have actually finished it. So it's important for you to check rather than assume they know what they're talking about. Because they don't have all the information. So you should just check that. But again, Sweden doesn't require it, so you don't need to worry about it.
So don't lie on our LinkedIn. That's the point. If you did not finish, say that you did not finish. And other than diplomas, usually is it required to have extra things such as Microsoft certificates or any Java certificates, any kind of expertise that is required, something else that could be more important than a diploma?
No, I mean, from my perspective, from working with different companies in Sweden, no one's asked for extra certification and things like that. In some cases, people are impressed by it, but the majority of the time, they don't care. As long as you are a skilled developer, it doesn't really matter to them what certificates you took or what things you have on your CV. Sometimes, I mean, these things can show that you're interested in an area and you're kind of more interested in an area, and that's always good to show. But But as a requirement or something that's going to kind of give you an extra boost, I don't think it's going to give you much of an extra boost. So only do it if you're interested in it. Don't do it just for the sake of getting a job in Europe. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So if I have extra certificates in a CV and another CV that doesn't have any, and pretty much they have the same experience, would you like ignore those?
No, I mean from my perspective as a recruiter, it doesn't matter to me. I think once in my time as a recruiter that I found a company that was interested in it, but not to the point where they would dismiss that person because they dismiss another person because they don't have it. So yeah, I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference in my experience, but...
Bom, gente, por esse vídeo vão ser só essas perguntas respondidas. E aí vocês vão ter o resto muito provavelmente na próxima semana. Então, beijos. Tchau, tchau!